Today's message, behold, now is the accepted time. Being an old muso, I suppose I can say old now authentically, some of the songs that we've listened to over the years, time after time, one step at a time, a time for us, any time, any other time songs that people know?
Just time goes by.
Oh yes, the best one of them all. And which one?
There's a time for us.
A Time for Us, that was from the movie Romeo and Juliet. And Apple Blossom Time, what was that, Jim?
West Side Story.
West Side Story?
West Time.
Oh, this
is time for us.
but this is the one from Romeo and Juliet. Okay, and I've got a million of them. And the main one is that we say all the time, if I only had time. That was John Rawls in the 80s. So what is time? Well, according to Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of this movement, time is the measure that we give to passing events. A day is a measure of time in the realm of effects. Now we can look back in hindsight and realise the passing of time. And it's interesting to know that this moment will never occur again. And how are we experiencing this moment? Have we put it back there, or is it in the future? Have we robbed ourselves of this moment by projecting it forward or back? Well, there's no time in the spiritual, mental or emotional. There's only time here in the physical. And life is where we are right now. Anything else is just a projection, one way or the other. And a past prophet, John Lennon, life is what happens when we are busy making other plans. We're so busy now thinking, yes, I'll have that trip next year. Oh, wasn't that great what happened last year? And all of a sudden, we realise time has gone by, and this moment we haven't really got anything to. I think most of us got out of bed today and thought, isn't this a lovely day? I was so inspired, I went to our luscious botanical gardens out here, and I picked some yellow, white and purple. Now I don't do that sort of thing. But I was inspired. Had I had a bit more time, it would have been a more exciting creation than it is.
That's pretty exciting.
But I didn't have time to do it. Now some heavy stuff. Well, not really. The nature of spirit is motionless. The nature of creation is motion. Spirit, no time, the eternal now, dream. Creation is the dream realised, and we are it, of course, at all different stages. Some of us are here, some of us there, or that way, whichever way. But we are all aiming for that spiritual perfection, and God has seen us as perfect beings, and we are that at every stage of the development. John 12:35, yet a little while is the light with you. And then I go unto him that sent me. We express, then we go back to the dream. And I think this gives us a clue to the mysterious verse in the Gospel of Thomas. If they ask you, what is the sign of your Father in you, tell them. It is a movement and a rest. A movement and a rest. So we use our time in time to consciously take dominion over our life here, in this physical world. We demonstrate it. The truth of the eternal spiritual wisdom now, here and now, and we express more of the eternal now. It's here. We evolve into it when we're ready, but it is here. To help us on the spiritual path, we have at our disposal ancient books. The Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, and one most of us are familiar with is the Bible. Some people are lucky to have escaped that, but us who've been to Sunday school, I think it stays with us. What do they say? You had a child up to the age of 7 and you've got them for life. And I'll tell you what, how I escaped my Sunday school upbringing, I don't know. But I found a way to look at the beautiful Bible teachings and look at them what they call metaphysically. Now we know the Bible is not to be taken literally. They reveal eternal truths far more than events in history. But using historical events as well as allegories, parables and symbols, the spiritual teachers of the ancient world were able to overcome the limitations of time, and those with eyes to read and ears to hear will gradually find layer upon layer of so-called hidden knowledge which can be deciphered as our consciousness expands. And as it does, so do all those meanings reveal a deeper and deeper meaning. I went to a lecture once and they claimed that there were 7 layers of meaning in the Bible. Well, that's what they talked about. We'll see as we go on in our journey how many there really are. Now, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary is a gem. We all know it. It's here. It's wonderful. And in that, the Bible is about the gradual expansion of human consciousness, and that book calls it from Adam, man of dust, to Jesus, man of Christ, the divine blueprint of which we're in the process of becoming. So as we move from Adam to Jesus, we learn the Hebrew meanings of some of the characters in between. And we have a slide of that. Joshua, whom Jehovah makes triumphant. David, beloved, loved. King Solomon, whole, complete, soundness and integrity. Daniel, God is my judge. Jonah, fermenting, passionate, a dove. And it's with great delight I mention John. Jehovah bestows mercifully. Fruitfulness. Do we have any other biblical names here? We don't really, do we?
James.
Pardon?
James.
James. Well, it's in the book there, James. Well, Sylvia, you don't have a... do you know what it is?
No.
Oh, I'm sure it's something good, Jim. Okay, so you have... What's your... But you were telling me yesterday your name means something very auspicious.
Oh, a nymph of the woods.
A nymph of the woods. Okay. Any other secrets to share? Nymph of the woods, that'll do. Okay. Right. Now, getting back to reality, now is the accepted time. Now, Noah is an example of someone who listened to his inner guidance and realized it now was the accepted time. He was a good man, and can you imagine him up in the middle of the countryside? You know, there's people eating and drinking and making merry. All of a sudden he hears this inner voice which says, build an ark. Well, you'd think, why? But he felt this urge so strongly that he started building an ark. I won't say it's in his backyard, I'd say it's on a couple of acres. But he built this ark. And can you imagine the reaction of the neighbours? What are you doing this for? You're mad, you're silly, all this sort of stuff. But he carried on and did it. Well, then the rains came. And up he went, and all those that were scoffing at him perished in the flood. But it took great faith and courage to do and build that ark. He had to listen to that inner guidance, and I'll tell you what, there's been times I wish I'd listened to it. I have a friend that's very good at that. And he'd say, look, don't do it now, do it in half an hour. And sure enough, in half an hour's time, the thing would happen. Whereas I would say, no, look, I'm sure it's over here. No. Some people listen to their intuition and act on it. As I said, we've all had experiences where we haven't. It hasn't been very pleasant. Now, the first one was Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I'm putting that up there to anchor this. Now, Noah means calm, rest, equilibrium, and Noah is that part of us which enables us to remain calm when all sorts of mayhem is going on around us. It's not easy, is it? I just wonder, think of all the situations where I've seen certain people when there's been a lot of carry-on going on, this person is just there, they're like a rock, and that's a great settling influence. So that is that part of us, the Noah part. For behold, I bring a flood of waters upon the earth. Now metaphysically here again, earth is the soul, our consciousness and its manifestation. Now the decision of God to cause a flood symbolizes the action of spiritual law to ensure that nothing is false or harmful can endure permanently. Now, what does that mean? Well, it just means that if we do something that is not in line with spirit, if we overdo things, eat too much, drink too much, talk too much, physically do too much, the Lord is my shepherd, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And how many of us have had to just do that? There gets a point where you can't do it anymore. Another friend who drives buses between Ballarat and Adelaide, he's been doing it for a while now. He woke up with very bad stomach pain, rang the company and said, look, I can't do the shift at the weekend. And as soon as he said it, he felt better. He listened to his inner guidance. We don't know what happened on that journey, but he obviously wasn't meant to be on it. Now, whenever a new idea comes into us, a spiritual idea, it's got to compete with all that other junk that is inside us. And my goodness, the stuff that comes up, you think get rid of some and another thing comes from when you were 15 or something. Chemicalisation is the term. I first heard of this in the Catherine Ponder books on prayer, and it means that churning up of the old, ready for the new. And it's like a flood of conflict. We know that nothing permanent can exist because it's not part of our blueprint. So chemicalisation is part of the process. Sometimes you might need help with that. Noah's Ark represents the spiritual part of ourselves, a positive saving state of consciousness which agrees with or forms a covenant with the principle of being, with subconscious inspiration agreement with our inner Christ. And this echoes a bit of the Kahuna teachings, whereas if we don't really believe it, it won't happen. The higher self won't do it. There's all sorts of approaches to this. People call it one thing, others call it another, and you can offend people by just putting up the wrong explanation. But we have to actually take it on. We can consciously say, I am healthy, wealthy and wise. We can just say it, but if our subconscious part of our mind doesn't agree with us, it won't happen. It's got to be done with feeling and energy. Now, and the rain fell upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 represents a sufficient amount of time. Now, Henry, what do you know about 40? I'm going to use your talents, if you don't mind. So, number 4. Is it on?
Yeah.
How's that? Really close. You're turning it off. That way. Ah. That's it.
Close to your mouth.
That's it.
Cheers. Oh, that's better. Yes, the fourth, pretty practical, down to earth. Tony Abbott has a 4. Yes, will I mention that?
Yes, yes, this is we're talking about numbers.
Yes, numbers, birthdays. Everyone has a year number. So Tony Abbott's the 4th of November. So he was in a 5-year changes, the unexpected. September was the 5 months for him, changes the unexpected, and then the 15th of September was a 5-day, changes unexpected. So from a numerology point of view, I thought he was going to lose. So a year number can give you a bit of an idea.
What about Malcolm Turnbull?
Yeah, Malcolm's the 24th of October 1954. Yeah, he's pretty practical, down to earth, and I just get a feeling he'll do pretty well. But in the year number he's in the 6th year. That was the same year Bob Hawke won an election, and I think John Howard, so 6 years all right.
Right, okay. Would you thank Henry? So 40 represents a period of time and a period of completion. We know that Jesus fasted on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and there's other examples of the number 40 being used in the Bible. Go forth from the ark and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Now, when the results of our misuse of the one presence and power are cleansed, when we've learnt the lesson, we get the gift. We go forth stronger and wiser, and we try and live, and we will live, and demonstrate the fruits of the Spirit. Love, peace, joy, and prosperity, and temperance, or moderation in all things, are just some of them. The covenant we read about in Genesis 9, verse 17, a bridge between the heaven and earth. The rainbow is the covenant. Spirit is always with us, whether we realise it or not. And when we align ourselves with spiritual law, we are consciously connecting with our inner tuition. Rainbow is a sign, a bridge between heaven and earth. So back to this movement and arrest. The experiences of life, our movements, are assimilated into our consciousness. So it's in our consciousness, not in time, and in mind, not in place, that perfection is realised, that we grow into it. The infinite goodness of life is here and now. We are in the midst of it. It's here. It may take time for us to unfold into this realisation, but we will, and it will be demonstrated in us, and when it does, it will be now. So to sum up, does time control us, or do we control time? We may be late for work or late for dinner, but we are always in place for our next lesson. So here we are running around trying to get here and there, but there's a lesson in it. I was so anxious to get to work one day when my car wouldn't start. I took a tram to the station. I took a train ride to the city, took another train ride to Nunawading, took a bus ride to where I was working at Forest Hill Chase. And I got home, I was exhausted, I had to have the next day off. So that was the lesson, I should have stayed home in the first place. I didn't listen. I had a funny feeling about that day anyway. Now, I'm a morning or an afternoon or an evening person. I don't know about you, but sometimes I think I'm a natural morning person, but because I've had to work midnight to dawns and evenings, I think it's become sort of blurred a bit now. But I think as it's all sorting out, I'm a morning person. And if we can, I believe it is more fruitful for us to just live in with our natural rhythm, whatever that may be. I think we'll get more energy and more zest for life if we can. But we have to work in with other people. We've got a job at 9 o'clock, finishes at 5. I had a piano tuner come one day. I said, okay, John, would you move the piano at 10 o'clock, please? He said, no worries, Bill, I'll be there. Then I realised John is one of these people whose day unfolds. I rang him at 10 o'clock. He said, oh, look, I'm just having breakfast. I'm just waiting for a mate to come and help me. I should be there soon. Don't need to tell you what happened. 2 o'clock came. And it was the most inconvenient time for me. But anyway, we got it done. So it's all right for us to work in with our natural rhythms, but we have to work in with everyone else as well. And finally, the best way to prepare for tomorrow is to make today's consciousness align in harmony with spirit. We dwell on life, not death, and concentrate upon making our demonstration of the good life here and now, because eternal life is here in this moment. And we move into that as we expand our consciousness. Thank you.